Hello, I am here to talk about the PiCat today. I am currently just sitting on the floor in my child's room. Um, he ran off while we were cleaning up, so I said, why not go ahead and make this PiCat video? So here I go, on to the PiCat. The PiCat, guys, is a take-home practice CAT-ASVAB test. It is the full version of the ASVAB. All 10 sections are on it. You have to register through a recruiter. So a recruiter has to register you for this test. So after the recruiter registers you for the test, you have 72 hours to complete to log in. 72 hours to log in. And then after that, after you log in, you have 24 hours to complete it. And if you read the instructions, it tells you, like, if you don't do well enough, I can't remember word for word. I took it about a month ago. It tells you, like, if you don't do well enough on, like, the first 5 sections, then the test basically cuts off on you. And that well enough, I'm sure, is probably at least a 50 on your AFQT score, because within those first 5 sections, you're going to have every section for the AFQT. So if you don't do well enough, then the test will cut off on you. So that's basically just like saying, I mean, you didn't fail or nothing. It's more so of just go out and practice a little more. And that's what the purpose of the test is for anyway. But there's a big but here, because if you do well enough on the exam, you are possibly able to keep this test score for your ASVAB score, which if you are an older person thinking about joining the military, this is definitely really good for us, because we don't have to worry about, trying to find time to go down the MEPS to take an ASVAB test. I mean, a lot of us don't have that time, especially, at least I know I didn't. So it was very convenient for me to be able to take the test in my own home, on my own computer. So a little bit of advice would be sure you allot at least 5 hours at minimum, I would say. Some of you may say that's a lot of time, and it may not take you 5 hours, but I say just allot 5 hours for you to be able to really go through the exam and, take it seriously. And the number one thing, which you will see from a number of videos, do not cheat, okay? Do not cheat, because if you do well enough on this test, you will have the opportunity to take a confirmation test, and the confirmation test is 30 questions. The confirmation test will be taken at MEPS. So once you take the test at home, your scores go straight to the recruiter, your recruiter or whatever, and your recruiter, he or she, will call you and say, hey, this is how you did. I would suggest XYZ, blah, 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 whatever. So for some branches, I think for Army, I've only spoken to Army and Air Force recruiter. But speaking to the Army recruiters, if you score 50 and above, that's really good apparently. So, and I think 76 and above is even better. So, with that being said, if you scored really high, you have this opportunity now to keep this score and not have to sit through another 2.5-3 hours of taking the ASVAB. The PiCat is not timed. That's why there's a big time difference there. If you notice, I said the actual ASVAB will probably take 2.5-3 hours, opposed to taking it at home. I say at least 5 hours. And that's a big advantage, because it's not timed. If you're like me and you do math problems 2-3 times, maybe 4, just to be extra safe, then that's a huge advantage in my book. But I'm not gonna lie. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I don't think it's fair if I don't I'm not timed on the PiCat, but once I go to MEPS, I'm timed on the confirmation. So the confirmation test is 30 questions, and it is a time test. But don't worry, because it's totally fair. All the questions you answered on the PiCat itself, if you were able to answer those, you should be able to answer these in a timely manner and not worry, you know. Of course, the process is a little nerve-wracking, but your recruiter will give you everything you need to go to MEPS to be able to take the test, okay? As far as only thing I really think you have to bring is like your ID and like your social security card. I took it about a month ago. My Life as Kev has a great video on going to MEPS and all that if you want to see that process or whatnot. Like, he really did a great job at like taking his camera down to MEPS, whatever. Of course it didn't go inside, but he definitely made me feel a lot more comfortable. And listening to Riley 123, he was definitely, I think it's 123, I'm not sure, but he definitely was really, really helpful as well. So what's after the confirmation test? So guys, if you pass, quote unquote, I say quote unquote because that can be loosely used, because you can pass with like a 40 but not do, like, if you have a high school diploma, GED, like, it's not gonna count because, I mean, you didn't pass the first 5 sections, right? So if you didn't pass that first 5 sections, you're gonna have to eventually go down and take the actual ASVAB. So yeah. But if you passed the PiCat with a 50 or above, I'm gonna say 50 or above, you passed the PiCat with 50 or above, now you at MEPS and you're about to take this confirmation test. The number one thing is, don't be nervous, because if you did not cheat, you will not fail the confirmation test. So after you take the 30 question timed confirmation test, it will go straight into TAPAS after you pass it, because I know you all will pass it because nobody cheated out there, right? So it will go straight to TAPAS. There's another but here. But there is a 5% chance that you may be that unlucky. Yeah, 5% chance that you pass the confirmation and still have to take the full ASVAB. So keep that in mind. That's a very small percentage. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but just keep that in mind, especially if you're like a brainiac or something. But if you fail it, it's going to go straight into the ASVAB. So say for instance you passed the confirmation test and you're in that unlucky 5%. You retook the ASVAB and you scored higher. That new score is your permanent score for the ASVAB. If you scored lower, that's your new score for the ASVAB. So basically, if you have to go out and do the full length ASVAB, guys, like, whatever you score is your new permanent score, okay? So that's why I say don't cheat. If you want to keep your 95 or 96 or whatever you made on the PiCat, just don't cheat. Pass the confirmation test and you'll be good to go. So after you do that, TAPAS comes up, right? So after you pass the confirmation, TAPAS comes up, and that's a personality test, and it's like 120 questions or so. Like, it's really long, but it's only like 2 answer choices, so there's not much pressure there. What else? Yeah, I think that's about all. Just remember, you need to see a recruiter to even consider taking the test. After registering through your recruiter, 72 hours to log in. After the 72-hour period, you have 24 hours once you log in to complete the test. Remember, do not cheat. Read all the instructions because they will give you everything you need, I promise you. Don't just click through it. Just make sure you read the instructions. This is just a brief video on the PiCat itself. Now, if you want a more detailed video of things to like study or whatever. I can't give you anything as far as what was on the test, but I can like give you some advice as to what books to get to study. But other than that, if you have any other questions, please let me know, and I will definitely help you out with the best that I can, legally, okay? But yeah, the storm has passed and I'm going to work out, child. Yeah.